our 6 picks of the week for mystery and crime novels you should be reading. Hello and welcome back to Deep Dives with Smart Bookworms. I'm Martina, your virtual book guru host for today's show. Join me, Conrad, Georgina, Debbie, and Lee, my co-presenters and fellow virtual book gurus, as we dive deep into our 6 picks of the week for mystery and crime novels from authors you love to read. In today's episode, we'll be diving deep into 6 incredible books by 6 iconic authors. Dogs and Wolves by Herve Corre, The Runaway Girls by Elle, Journey's Betrayal by Mary Stone, The Widow's Lie by Melanie Price, Wagers of Sin by Saffron Amatti, and last but not least, Unreasonable Doubt by Tom Fowler. So let's dive deep into today's deep dive. Our 6 picks of the week for mystery and crime novels from authors you love to read. Book 1, Dogs and Wolves by Herve Corre. To start us off, we have Conrad and Georgina discussing what sounds like a great book.
You ever walk into a situation and just feel like everything's off?
Yeah, like something's not quite right beneath the surface.
Exactly. That's what Dogs and Wolves by Herve Corre is all about. It's so gripping.
Oh, tell me more. What's the story about?
So, Franck gets out of prison after serving time to protect his brother, Fabien.
Right.
But when he's released, Fabien isn't there to meet him.
Wait, he took the fall for his brother and his brother doesn't show up? That's rough.
Yeah, and instead, Jessica, Fabien's girlfriend, picks him up. She takes him to this remote house with her strange family.
That sounds unsettling.
It gets weirder. There's this massive dog named Goliath that seems almost menacing.
Goliath? That doesn't sound friendly at all.
Exactly. And Jessica has a daughter, Rachel, who's incredibly quiet but observant. It's, kind of eerie.
So where's Fabien in all of this?
Supposedly in Spain on some shady business. Franck tries to reach him but can't get in touch.
That's suspicious. Do you think Fabien abandoned him?
It seems that way. Franck feels betrayed.
Yeah.
And then things get complicated with Jessica.
Complicated how?
Well, they start a physical relationship, which is, messy given she's his brother's girlfriend.
That's a dangerous game to play.
Definitely. And the family's behavior is odd. The whole atmosphere is heavy.
Sounds like he's jumped from one prison into another.
Exactly. Then
Right.
there's an encounter with a dangerous man named Serge during a shady car deal.
Serge? What's his deal?
He's not someone to mess with. Franck ends up offending him, which isn't good.
That can't end well, so trouble keeps finding Franck?
Pretty much, it's like he can't catch a break.
Do you think he regrets protecting his brother?
I think so. He's realizing his loyalty might have been misplaced.
But isn't it on Franck too? Maybe he needs to take responsibility for his choices?
You have a point. He's definitely
Yeah.
grappling with that.
The story sounds intense. What's the main theme you took away?
It's a deep dive into loyalty, betrayal, and the illusion of freedom.
Sounds captivating. I'll have to read it.
You definitely should. It's haunting, but so worth it.
Thanks for sharing this. I'm intrigued.
Wow, that was certainly enlightening. I wonder what Georgina has to say about Out Next Book as she talks to Conrad about Elle Gray's latest novel.
You know, I've been thinking about those disappearances in Cape Fremont. It's really
Yeah?
unsettling how teens just vanish without a trace.
Absolutely. And isn't it interesting that Olivia Knight and Brock Tanner are going undercover there?
Exactly. They're posing as newlyweds on a honeymoon to blend in
Right.
and investigate.
Smart move. But do you think they'll gain the locals' trust?
Well, they start by frequenting the local hangout, Breaker's Cafe. That's where they meet Susanna and May.
Susanna, the surfer girl, right?
Yes, she's incredibly talented but has a, tough home
That's
life.
rough.
She might be key to understanding what's going on.
And what about that guy, Josh Gallegos?
Josh is super intriguing. He's handing out pamphlets and says things like, "May your stars align."
Weird.
He's acting really secretive.
Sounds cultish to me. Do they think he's involved?
That's what they suspect. So they tail him and set up a stakeout.
Right.
But when they confront him, they find he's dealing drugs instead.
Wait, so he's not recruiting for a cult?
Apparently not. He claims he found the drugs and denies any cult involvement. But something still feels off.
Maybe they're barking up the wrong tree with Josh.
You might be right. There's also that mysterious teacher who speaks Dutch and meets secretly with a man. That's suspicious.
Oh, yeah. Dutch isn't a common language there. Do you think there's an international connection?
It's possible. Olivia notices a cargo ship with a black flower logo. Could be linked to trafficking.
Right.
Maybe that's where the missing teens are going.
So it's not just a local issue, it's bigger than that.
Exactly. It's like peeling back layers of
Yeah.
an onion. The more they find out, the deeper it gets.
But time is running out. They need to act fast.
Absolutely. And they also want to help Susanna, who's vulnerable due to her home situation.
Of course.
She could be the next target.
So where should they focus their efforts now?
I think looking into the teacher in the cargo ship is their best bet.
Agreed.
That's where the real answers might be.
It's a complex web, but I have faith they'll figure it out.
Me too. They're determined, and they won't stop until they find the truth.
Exactly.
Let's hope they succeed before more teens disappear.
Time to introduce our next two book gurus, Debbie and Lee, who will start us off with an exchange of views about Mary Stone's newest blockbuster.
So, have you heard about the latest twist in the Journey Russo series?
Oh, absolutely. Can't believe what's happening in Journey's Betrayal.
Right? I mean, dead men can't tell secrets, but the way this one starts off is intense.
You're talking about the fire investigator, Andrew Garvin?
Exactly.
Found murdered with that page from the grimoire on his chest? Creepy stuff.
Super creepy. And Journey suspects that her family's death wasn't an accident after all.
Which is a game changer.
Yeah.
It flips everything she thought she knew on its head.
It's like pulling at a thread, and the whole sweater unravels, you know?
Mm-hmm. And the more she digs, the messier it gets. Now there's this manifesto of terror involved.
The grimoire. It's
Right.
more than just a book. It's practically a declaration of war.
And bodies are piling up. First Garvin, then Thomas Small and his wife. It's like no one is safe.
Exactly. And the killer leaves those pages impaled with a pencil. It's theatrical, but chilling.
Gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
You know what gets me? Journey's
What's that?
determination. She's risking everything to uncover the truth.
Even when it might be digging her own grave?
Exactly. It's like she's walking a tightrope without a net.
But isn't that what makes her such a compelling character?
Oh,
She
absolutely.
won't back down, no matter what.
And the way the cult, The Chosen, is intertwined with everything? It's wild.
Yeah, they go from being this shadowy presence to a direct threat.
It's like they were hiding in plain sight all along.
And the whole thing about the church they've established. The first gathering of the righteous.
Setting up a front to recruit more people, it's diabolical.
Yet clever. They're expanding their influence while staying under the radar.
But Journey's onto them, and with Lucas and Michelle by her side, they have a real shot.
Speaking of Michelle, I love how she's not just the tech genius, but also Journey's adopted sister.
Adds a personal layer to the stakes. It's not just professional, it's family.
Exactly. And the tension with Lucas possibly getting closer to Michelle?
Oh, I caught that. It's like a subplot that adds depth without distracting.
Right. And it humanizes them. Even amidst chaos, life goes on.
But back to the case, the way they piece together the clues is like watching a chess match.
Every move counts, and one wrong step could be deadly.
It's high stakes for sure, and the theme of betrayal runs deep.
Mm-hmm. And not knowing who to trust. Even allies could be enemies.
Exactly. It's like when the deck is stacked against you, but you play the hand anyway.
Because what choice do you have, right?
Right. Journey can't walk away, even if it means confronting her own past.
Which is coming back with a vengeance. The fire, the murders, it all ties back.
It's like the past isn't done with her yet.
Or maybe she's not done with the past.
Ah,
It's a
good
two-way
point.
street.
You know, it's a reminder that sometimes to move forward, you have to face what's behind you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So any predictions on where this is headed?
Well, knowing Journey, she's not going to stop until she uncovers every secret.
Even if it puts her in the crosshairs.
Especially then, she's relentless.
And that's why we can't get enough of her story.
Absolutely. Can't wait to see how this unfolds.
Same here. It's going to be a wild ride.
Buckle up!
Informative as ever, I wonder what Lee has to say about The Widow's Lie by Melanie Price. I've already heard some fantastic reviews.
So, have you ever met someone and felt that they weren't who they seemed?
Yeah,
like
I have.
something's just off?
Totally. It's like your gut is, telling you something's wrong.
Exactly. I was reading this story about Jacqueline, and she gets a new neighbor, Anastasia.
Oh, what's so special about her, Anastasia?
Well, Jacqueline's life is picture perfect, but when Anastasia moves in, things start to get, weird.
Weird how? Like what's happening, between them?
So Jacqueline tries to welcome her with a casserole, but Anastasia is cold and distant.
Oh man. That's not the friendly neighbor vibe at all, huh?
Right. And then Jacqueline feels like she knows Anastasia from somewhere, but can't place it.
Interesting. Maybe they've met before, like in the past?
Well, turns out Anastasia resembles Charles's first wife, who disappeared years ago.
Wait, seriously? That's creepy. Does she, confront Charles about it?
She tries, but he dismisses her concerns.
Of course.
And then things get worse.
Worse how exactly?
Anastasia's daughter, Sophia, befriends Matilda, Jacqueline's daughter, and starts asking about personal stuff.
Like what? What kind of personal stuff, you know?
Sophia asks about Matilda's birth certificate.
What? That's so intrusive. Why would she do that?
Exactly. It's like they're digging for family secrets.
Right. So does Jacqueline have secrets to hide then?
Yes, actually. Matilda isn't her biological daughter. She's Charles's daughter with his missing wife.
Oh, wow. That's a big secret to keep, you know?
Exactly, and she's terrified that Anastasia will expose it.
Makes sense. So what's Jacqueline's next move then?
She decides that Anastasia has to go.
Uh-oh.
She starts plotting ways to remove her from their lives.
Isn't that a bit extreme, though?
Maybe. But when your whole life is at risk, you'd do anything to protect it, right?
I suppose. But plotting against someone seems risky, you know?
True. But it's like being backed into a corner.
Yeah.
You feel you have no choice.
Still, there must be another way to handle it.
Perhaps. But fear can make people act irrationally.
That's true. So do we know if Anastasia is actually up to something?
It's ambiguous.
Oh.
She might be genuinely dangerous, or maybe Jacqueline is paranoid.
That uncertainty adds to the tension, doesn't it?
Exactly. It keeps you guessing who's the real antagonist.
Right. Sounds like a psychological thriller then.
Yes, and it explores themes of trust and deception.
Mm-hmm. Makes you wonder how well you know your own neighbors, huh?
Exactly. Or even your own family.
Yeah. So, would you recommend it then?
Absolutely. It's a gripping read that keeps you on edge.
Great. I'll have to check it out for sure.
You should. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Will do.
Moving on to our final two books of the week, we have Georgina expressing her views to Debbie on an unfamiliar author for me, Saffron Amatti, and his novel, Wages of Sin.
So I just finished reading Wages of Sin, and it's absolutely gripping.
Oh, that's the one about the supernatural detective agency, right?
Yeah, exactly. The Bright Young Things detective agency. And
Right.
guess what? The main detective, Lucas Rathbone, can see ghosts.
No way. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's such a unique twist. So the story starts with Jonathan Bourbon-Bussett, who, dies under mysterious circumstances.
And he becomes a ghost, I assume.
Exactly. But he's not your typical helpful spirit. He's
Right.
arrogant and uncooperative.
That must make things difficult.
It does, especially since Lucas's friend Tommy Kilbourne is suspected of murdering him.
Oh no. Why is Tommy a suspect?
Well, they had a fight the night Bourbon-Bussett disappeared.
Uh-oh.
So the police think he had a motive.
That's rough. So Lucas wants to clear his friend's name?
Exactly. But he can't just tell the police he spoke to the victim's ghost.
Yeah.
They think he's crazy.
Right. So how do they proceed?
They start investigating on their own, trying to find clues. But
Okay.
it's challenging when the ghost isn't helping.
I can imagine. So is there more to the story?
Oh, definitely. There's this mysterious woman who may be behind multiple disappearances.
Interesting. Wait, tell me more about her.
Well, Bourbon-Bussett mentions making a wager with a woman before he died. He gambled
Oh.
his life, literally.
That's intense. It's like making a deal with the devil.
Exactly. And now
Yeah.
they're trying to track her down.
But with so little to go on, that must be tough.
It is. And meanwhile, they have personal dramas unfolding.
Right.
Like Gina Adams discovering her boyfriend is married.
Oh man, that's rough. But doesn't that complicate the main plot? I feel like too many subplots can dilute the tension.
I see what you mean, but I think it enriches the characters. It makes them more relatable.
Maybe, but I prefer a tighter focus.
Fair enough. But the way it all weaves together is impressive.
I suppose that can work if done right?
Exactly. And the supernatural elements add a thrilling twist.
Yeah,
It's not just a typical detective story.
that does sound intriguing. Definitely a unique angle.
So, are you going to read it?
Absolutely, you've convinced me.
Great. Can't wait to discuss it more once you've finished.
And last, but by no means least, we go over to Debbie as she tells Georgina all about Unreasonable Doubt by Tom Fowler, the latest installment in the C.T. Ferguson crime novel series.
Ever notice how rare it is for things to just, blow up in Baltimore?
Yeah, it's
But
not exactly a
recently,
war zone.
that's changed.
Wait, are you talking about those car bombings?
Exactly. 3 of them so far, all targeting people released from prison on technicalities. It's
Seriously?
wild.
That's crazy. So these victims were criminals who got out on legal loopholes?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
And someone's decided to take justice into their own hands.
But I mean, isn't that just like vigilantism?
Exactly. And it raises
Right.
all sorts of questions about justice and the legal system.
So who's investigating this?
Well, our main guy is C.T. Ferguson, a private investigator who got involved after being near one of the explosions. He's
Oh,
digging into the
interesting.
case.
Does he have any leads? Wait, the judge himself is a suspect?
Well, it's complicated. Some
Yeah.
think he might be involved somehow.
But why would a judge free criminals and then have them killed?
Exactly my point. It doesn't add up.
Right.
CT is also considering other suspects, like an ex-soldier with bomb expertise.
That makes more sense. Someone with the skills.
Yeah, and there's also public support for the bomber, which complicates things. People are actually
Really?
cheering this on.
That's kind of messed up.
It is. It's like
Yeah.
people are so fed up with the system that they're okay with someone committing murder.
But taking the law into your own hands isn't the answer.
Exactly. And CT is trying to, put a stop to it before more people get hurt.
So what's the big hurdle he's facing?
Well, he's got threats coming his way. Some people want him to back off the case.
That's intense. Do you think he'll find the bomber?
I think he's getting closer,
Okay.
but the stakes are getting higher.
Sounds like a real page-turner.
Absolutely. It's gripping, and it really makes you think about justice versus revenge.
But do you think the story is, maybe glorifying vigilante justice a bit?
I don't think so. It actually critiques the idea by showing the consequences and moral dilemmas.
I guess, but with the public supporting the bomber, it might send mixed messages.
That's a fair point. But I
Yeah.
think it's meant to reflect real-world frustrations with the system, not to endorse the actions.
Maybe you're right. It does open up important discussions.
You should check it out. It's a compelling story that tackles some heavy issues.
Wrap up. And there you have it. 6 incredible books by 6 iconic authors. Dogs and Wolves by Herve Corre. Dogs and Wolves centers on Franck, recently released from prison, and his complex relationship with his brother Fabien. Franck navigates a world of shifting loyalties, betrayal, and the lingering effects of his imprisonment. The story involves a past crime, a debt, and the search for answers, all set against the backdrop of the one French countryside. The Runaway Girls by Elle. FBI Special Agents Olivia Knight and Brock Tanner go undercover as newlyweds in Cape Fremont to investigate missing teens. They discover a trafficking ring involving a local teacher, a waitress, and a wealthy businessman. The agents race to save a kidnapped teen and expose a complex web of deceit. Journey's Betrayal by Mary Stone. FBI Special Agent Journey Russo investigates the murder of a retired ATF agent, which leads her to a dangerous group called The Chosen. This investigation becomes deeply personal as Journey uncovers links to her family's deaths. The case involves a series of killings connected by a sinister book, The Grimoire, and a quest for revenge. The Widow's Lie by Melanie Price. Jacqueline, a curious real estate agent, becomes obsessed with her new neighbor, the enigmatic widow Anastasia Drummond. Jacqueline's suspicions about Anastasia's past lead to dangerous consequences. The story involves secrets, lies, and the lengths people go to protect those they love. Ultimately, a complex web of deceit and hidden identities unravels, leading to a shocking confrontation. Wagers of Sin by Saffron Amatti. Wagers of Sin follows the Bright Young Things detective agency as they investigate the disappearance of a barrister. When Tommy becomes a suspect, the team races to clear his name, encountering ghosts, werewolves, and a complex web of secrets and betrayals. The investigation leads them through London's underbelly and the supernatural. Unreasonable Doubt by Tom Fowler. In Unreasonable Doubt, private investigator C.T. Ferguson investigates a series of bombings targeting criminals released on technicalities. He and his team race against time to stop the bomber, known as Vox Populi, whose actions spark public support. The story explores themes of justice, vigilantism, and the power of the media. Have you read any? If so, drop a comment below and let us know what you thought. And if you haven't, do they sound like a must-read for you? If you enjoyed today's deep dive, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more book deep dives, and share this video with your fellow book lovers. Don't forget that full comprehensive reviews are available from our free 100 mystery and crime novels you should have read. See the link in the description below to grab your copy today. And until next time on Deep Dive with Smart Bookworms, keep reading, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next one.